Breaking news, firefighters knocking down flames in Wakefield and make a discovery inside. A woman found dead inside of her apartment.
Also breaking, one person killed after being hit in the streets in Beverly on a highway there. What we're learning this morning about that victim.
World leaders coming together to condemn North Korea's nuclear tests, the options they're now considering to put pressure on Kim Jong-un.
And Hurricane Irma getting even stronger, and it's eyeing the east coast of the United States, South Florida, now bracing for a potential hit.
This is 7 News Today in New England.
Good morning. I'm Nicole Oliverio.
And I'm Chris Anderson. We'll have all of your top stories in a moment. But Irma, first up, is a Category 5 hurricane. This is a monster storm with very high wind speeds. And we want to go to meteorologist Ren Claire, who has been tracking its path. And I know it's still a few days out from making any threats directly to the United States, but it is on the path to making an impact there.
Absolutely, yeah. We're looking at it actually bringing direct threats into this afternoon and today for portions of the Leeward Islands, actually the northeastern portions of the Lesser Antilles at greatest risk headed into the next 12 hours or so. But it has strengthened to a Category 5 hurricane. You can see how symmetrical this is and how much space it's taking up. Actually, the diameter of this closer to about 400 miles. The eye wall, very well defined, is going through that eye wall replacement cycle. And as it approaches the Lesser Antilles, it is going to be and remain a Category 5 hurricane. So far, sustained wind speeds have reached 175 miles per hour, possibly reaching 180 here later today, staying as a Category 5 hurricane as it tracks to Puerto Rico as we head into tomorrow afternoon. And that is going to bring hurricane force winds also to Puerto Rico. So staying a Category 5 for quite some time, even as we head into Thursday, potentially Category 5 near the Dominican Republic as well as Haiti. And then by Friday, that's near Cuba, just south of Miami. And then at this point, that cone of uncertainty starts to incorporate portions of the continental U.S. So the Florida Peninsula looking more so likely to deal with impacts of Irma as we head into especially Saturday and into Sunday, and still a major hurricane at that time. I think the best silver lining here is that Irma is going to continue to move. So unlike Harvey, we're not going to see this storm camped over the same location for long periods of time.
All right, we want to get a look at the roadways during this morning commute just past the 9 o'clock hour. And Elena, how are things looking?
Well, things are actually getting better out there, Chris. The Zakim and the Leverett connector here, cars moving just fine, but there is still plenty of red on those maps, especially on 93 headed into the city. Lots of stop and go after 128. The Tobin is busy. So is the expressway 324 and 95. Had a couple of issues earlier. Fortunately, they all cleared on 24 and 95. The delays still pretty big, I would say, on 24 and 95. The Pike slow up toward 128 after you pass that. Not bad. Up north 2 and 3, your typical slowdowns there. And your drive time is going to be touch long on the expressway, about 30 minutes or so. If you're taking the Pike in, around 20 minutes there, 35 minutes on 93. If you're taking the red line this morning, it does have some severe delays due to a signal problem. Guys?
Okay, we are waiting to hear from Patriots head coach Bill Belichick, who is expected to talk to reporters at Gillette live this morning in just a few moments. This is a live look there where they are waiting for coach to arrive. And they are set to open up the season Thursday night against the Kansas City Chiefs down at Gillette Stadium. And we'll hear from Coach Belichick as soon as he comes to the podium. We'll take it live.
We are following several breaking stories this morning. First, in Wakefield, firefighters make a discovery after knocking down flames inside of an apartment complex there. Crews find a woman dead inside of her apartment.
So now investigators are focused on figuring out how that fire started in the first place. We want to go out live to 7's Jennifer Egan, who joins us with the very latest on what we know so far. Jen?
And Chris, some new information. The state fire marshal's office says this fire appears to be an accident. They're not saying what the cause is right now, but neighbors tell us the victim was an elderly woman. Firefighters had the flames knocked down pretty quickly, within about a half hour. But when they went inside, they found the woman on the second floor. The most damage is to her apartment, which is on the back side of this building you see here. The calls came in for smoke and flames at 123 Water Street around 11:45 last night. Wakefield's fire chief says they are working to get in touch with the victim's family, not releasing her name right now. The building has 6 units in it. The Red Cross was on scene earlier this morning. They said 5 people, at least 5 people, were left without a home after this fire. Neighbors said flames were shooting out of the woman's apartment. They feared she was trapped inside.
They were questioning whether she was in there, but she's always home. So we kind of knew that she was in there and she's probably deceased. Yeah, so everybody felt bad.
We've been in touch with the Middlesex District Attorney's Office this morning. They, too, say they are not identifying the victim. They're trying to get in touch with her family right now. We're live in Wakefield this morning. Jennifer Egan, 7 News Today in New England.
Also breaking, a man is struck and killed by a car on 128 North in Beverly. Police say that victim was a 20-year-old Endicott college student. They say he was originally from Boxford and he was hit in the left lane around midnight. Investigators believe that he had a skateboard, but it's unclear if he was riding at the time. We're told the driver did stay at the scene. Right now, no charges have been filed, but there is an ongoing investigation.
Breaking news from overnight. Police investigating after a wild wreck in New Hampshire. Take a look at this video here. It ended with that car crashing into this home in Manchester. Let's get out live to 7's Victoria Warren, who is in Manchester with more on what happened here. Vicki.
Good morning, and we just got an update. All of this apparently starting in Goffstown when a passenger in that car was spotted waving a weapon. Police tried to pull that car over, and then the driver, police say, took off, and it all ended with the driver crashing over here. We spoke with a man who lives in this house. He tells us he heard a noise and then saw the car flying right towards him. We've got some video of the scene overnight on Varney Street here in Manchester. The car landing on its roof, hitting a gas line after going airborne. So Goffstown police say this did start with that stop after spotting a man waving a weapon out of the window. Goffstown police able to arrest that man, but then they say the driver suddenly took off. Witnesses say the driver crashed, and then they say he ran away from the car. They say there was a trail of blood. Manchester Fire Department confirming that it believes the driver was hurt. We spoke with a man who watched the crash and knew he had to get everyone out of the house immediately.
And I hear screeches, and I just got up and just looked out that window, and I just saw the car come right through here and hit my roommate's car and hit our wall, and I thought it was going to come through the wall, and I just freaking jumped, and then I heard all the gas, and I was like, I just yelled gas, and I was like, everyone needs to get out of here. So.
Luckily, everyone was able to get out of this house. No one in the house was hurt. A firefighter from Manchester did suffer a minor injury because that firefighter went back into the house to try and rescue some animals. And again, the driver is still being sought by police, but Goffstown police say they did arrest a man who was a passenger in the car for an incident that happened in Goffstown, where police say he was seen waving a weapon from the car. That person will face a judge later today. Live this morning in Manchester, Victoria Warren, 7 News Today, New England.
New this morning, a Scituate woman will face a judge today following a wild wreck in Cohasset. Police say the 53-year-old was drunk when she slammed head-on into another vehicle on Route 3A Sunday night. Both vehicles heavily damaged in that crash. Police say that Laura Farrell was behind the wheel at the time and has been charged with OUI. The other driver suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries.
Now to the latest on the nuclear crisis in North Korea. Caution and condemnation from world leaders as they weigh the possible responses to the latest nuclear test from North Korea. And there are new concerns this morning with reports that North Korea could be moving an intercontinental ballistic missile. 7's Carrie Corrado is here now with all the details.
Well, good morning, Nicole. As the threats from North Korea heat up, South Korean lawmakers said that the country is believed to be moving a missile. Now, this comes after North Korea's latest and most troubling nuclear test. Russian President Vladimir Putin speaking out this morning. He's calling for talks with North Korea and warns against any military action. North Korea's destructive and deadly nuclear weapons has leaders all around the world alarmed. President Trump speaking with German Chancellor Angela Merkel Monday evening, both leaders agreeing there should be stricter sanctions against North Korea to stop the ongoing threats. The commander-in-chief says all options are on the table when it comes to halting North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un's missile mission. Merkel believes there should be stricter sanctions against North Korea. In the meantime, South Korea is showing off their military might. They're conducting live fire exercises which simulated a strike on North Korea's nuclear test site. These images surfaced of Kim Jong-un inspecting what is believed to be a missile-ready hydrogen bomb that has the capabilities to reach countries like the United States. For the second time in a week, the UN Security Council called 2 emergency meetings in 1 week about North Korea, where U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley says it appears North Korea is begging for war.
When a rogue regime has a nuclear weapon, and an ICBM pointed at you, you do not take steps to lower your guard. We have kicked the can down the road long enough. There is no more road left.
Experts say over the past year, Kim Jong-un has accelerated his most lethal capability. Several world leaders said it's time to put maximum pressure on North Korea.
Japan stresses the need for the Council to adopt swiftly a new resolution with further robust sanction measures.
And President Trump tweeting about the nuclear crisis this morning. He said, quote, I am allowing Japan and South Korea to buy a substantially increased amount of highly sophisticated military equipment from the United States. The call for joint action between the president and the German chancellor comes just one day after the U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis warned of a, quote, massive military response to North Korea's nuclear threat. Kerry Corrado, 7 News, Today, New England.
Kerry, thank you. Patriots, Chiefs, kickoff Thursday night. Let's listen into Coach Belichick now in Gillette.
I know Andy's family. I have a lot of respect for him, his family, him personally and professionally. So, yeah, he's one of the great coaches in this league.
So how does something like that manifest itself? So does it help that he was in the NFC? I know you have relationships with other coaches, but how do you...
Yeah, well, we played against them in preseason. I don't know if it was every year, but it seemed like it was every year. It wasn't every year, but it was a lot. So got a chance to see him on a regular basis, had a lot of trades. So, yeah, we've never been on the same staff together, so there isn't that type of relationship. But for not being on the same staff together, so we're pretty close.
What was the backlog of experience you have competing against Reed and just watching his teams? Does it make week one, I'd say easier, but when there's so much unexpected that could happen week one because he has put obviously such a for so long, do you know in some ways what to expect from him, or do you still have to be prepared for something you've never seen before?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's going to be, Andy's a West Coast offense disciple, and that's a very extensive system. So I think it's going to be within the West Coast family of what he does. I don't think he's going to come in and run the wishbone. But that being said, there's a lot of ways to dress it up. There's a lot of ways to make it look the same, different, but it's really the same. To force different defensive adjustments or different personnel groups or run the same play. But it's on a different guy, so the same player can't really repeat, his read on the play, things like that. So he does a great job of that. It's not like he comes in with a new offense every week, but it's tough to defend because it's sound, it's well balanced. They have complementary plays, so if you're stopping one thing, they have something else they can go to. Vice versa, they have play actions that come off their running game and so forth. So they know what they're doing. I mean, they're very experienced at it. They know how to attack you in all three phases of the game. They're great in the kicking game. They're good on defense. They're good on offense. They're a well-balanced team, which there's a lot of teams in the NFL that can't say that, but they're one of them that can. So they're at the top of the league, and in a lot of categories. They have a lot of good players. They're a very experienced team. They don't have a lot of new faces. A lot of people that are back. He's kept the guys that were won for him last year that we're 12-4 with. So he's obviously, pretty happy with the team that he's built. Not that he hasn't made some key additions and continue to build on it, but he's got a lot of people back with a lot of experience in what they're doing. So they can do more than some other teams can just because they've done it over a period of time together.
Now, among all the qualities, it seems that ability on special teams has been one of the common denominators with players acquired this past weekend. At this point of the season, how much of a learning curve would you say there is on special teams?
Well, it's a learning curve for any new player. Depends on the player. It depends on what his background was and so forth. If our positions are the same as his positions, if our techniques are the same as his techniques, if our adjustments are the same as the adjustments that he's used to or that he's been doing, sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. Some players pick those things up quickly. Some players, it takes a little longer until they experience it and adjust to it. So each case is different.
You mentioned special teams in the kicking game, Coach. They have some game breakers on special teams. How much of a concern specifically has that been?
Huge. And they got two of the top returners in the league on the same team. So they have good specialists. Colquitt's one of the best in the league. They do have a good core group. They cover well. They're sound. They're well coached. Their lane discipline and leverage is good. Their blocking is good. They don't cut a lot of guys loose. They get a hat on a hat and give the returner some space. They're a good situational team, like must onside kick and Ant's team. They're aggressive. They'll fake. They'll surprise onside kick. They do things like that to keep you off balance. So you have to be sound. You can't overplay things, or you'll give up something else. So they do a good job in all those areas. It's one of the best special teams units in the league, and it consistently is. And I think last year they were second or third, whatever it was. They were very high, one of the top teams, and it looks like they're still there. This year in preseason, again, some core players they picked up: Pierre Lewis, Sorensen. Like I said, the specialists, the skill players. So they're a solid group.
All right, Coach Bill Belichick, as expected, praising the opponent for Thursday, the Kansas City Chiefs, as the Patriots make final preps, and talking about some of the changes that they've made in recent weeks.
And then saying that really Patriots have their hands full when it comes to the Chiefs, saying he has a lot of respect for head coach Andy Reid. So hopefully, for Pats fans, more of a blowout.
Yeah, you know what? A win is a win. If you win by 1 point or 20 points.
My heart appreciates when they win by 20 points.
All right. Well, there was Coach. And, of course, the game is Thursday night down at Gillette against the Chiefs, kicking off the season. It's 9:17. You're watching the news station. We'll be right back.